This is the Select Board meeting for Thursday, November 18th. The first order on the agenda is a salute to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any additions to the agenda?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I make a motion we approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion we approve the minutes of the last meeting as written.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have no old business. Under new business, we are going to open the first of two public hearings about a road posting ordinance. I do have a few copies of that ordinance up here if people wish to look at it in person. We talked about this about a month ago. We have given copies of this ordinance to both road commissioners, and it is my understanding that we have support from both road commissioners on this ordinance as it's written. Is this correct, gentlemen? Yes? Okay. This ordinance comes directly from the Maine Municipal Association. It is verbatim to the ordinance that has been adopted in Alfred, minus their language that lists the roads that are being posted. The only thing that has changed is we have added these three lines. Also exempt are vehicles with a destination to be reached located on a year-round posted road during times when seasonal postings of area roads are not in effect. Vehicles of excess weight may enter a year-round posted road for the purpose of providing service to a residential property or to access a commercial property. Vehicles may not come onto a posted road at one end of the road and exit by the other if they have come on with excessive weight. I think that that language allows for trucks to come on overweight and drop a load and leave underweight. It allows for trucks to come on underweight, pick up a load, and leave overweight. And it allows for a truck to come onto a site mid-road and return back the direction that they have come. What it is prohibiting is using town ways as through ways with overly loaded trucks. Okay? Does the board have anything they wish to add before we open it up to the public?
No.
Okay. So at this time we will welcome any comments, questions that people have about the ordinance and how it will affect the town of Acton. If you have a question, please come to the podium.
Hi, Ray Lopez. How are we going to be enforcing this ordinance?
The same way we enforce all of our ordinances. If you are caught by a state trooper or a county sheriff's officer, then you pay the fine. Or DOT. If not, we do not have a police force in town. We do not have a way to enforce an ordinance that we pass, just like the other ordinances that we have. It's the speed limits that are posted on the road, we in town can't enforce. It's a question of if you were caught speeding by the sheriff's department or the state police. So
if a citizen reports something...
if a citizen reports, my understanding is if you live on a road that's been posted, okay, and you are consistently seeing a violation by the same truck and you were to make that report, you would make that report to the county sheriff's department or to the state police department.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dennis Long. I would assume that this ordinance will be voted on at the annual town meeting.
This is actually an executive ordinance. It may not go to town meeting. By state statute, it is an ordinance that can only be passed by the executive officials of the town.
So you cannot pass this at town meeting?
We cannot. We have to pass it as an executive order.
Is that in this paper here saying that?
No, this is the actual ordinance. It's in the state law that says that.
You have that in writing?
I do.
Do you know exactly what that says?
I don't have it with me, but we wrote to MMA with that exact question, and they sent us back the statutes.
So we can get them for you.
So, so really, what is the purpose of this?
because we're retiring roads, and that road, for one road in particular, we just retired it, and people are using it to pick up gravel in Acton and driving it over it into New Hampshire and down to Massachusetts, and using tractor trailer dumps and things like that, and it's not of any service to anybody on that road, but yet they're tearing up our road. So this allows us to bring it down to a lower level. If they're bringing a tractor trailer load of material to your house, which is down there, that's okay. But if they're just going truck after truck down that road into New Hampshire and then off to wherever they're bringing it, and they're just using our town road without paying any taxes and destroying the road, then the taxpayers are paying to upkeep the road, so we're trying to maintain our roads in a little better way. Instead, make them use the state road to go into New Hampshire.
I guess maybe I misunderstood what Larissa said, was that people could bring heavy loads into town and leave empty.
Right.
Or they could leave town.
Not town, on that road.
I mean, come into town empty and leave heavy, or come into town heavy and leave
Empty.
Come onto the road. So let's use Hopper Road as the example, because that really is the only road that currently Sam Page, and therefore Hopper, because if you can't cross Sam Page, you can't get onto Hopper. So if you are a truck that is full of gravel, you do not, when we have passed this ordinance, you do not have the authority to enter onto Sam Page Road and traverse the entirety of Sam Page Road with your fully weighted truck. It's illegal. You may not do that through Hopper and down around. You have to go instead on 109 to 153 and to Spalding Turnpike that way. So, but if let's say that you are picking up a load of gravel from, may I use you as an example? From Mr. Heffron. You can take and come in with your empty truck, come to Mr. Heffron, load. Now you're overweight, but you haven't used it as a through truckway. You've simply come on, you've picked up a load, and now you're going to exit with your load. It's allowing commercial properties as well as residential properties to either offer services or receive services at a specific location. It's prohibiting anyone from using town roads as throughways if they are of excessive weight.
So this wouldn't affect somebody like Pepin or Bentley Warren or any of these people that have pits?
Right, because
from coming in and getting loaded, say, and traveling down the H road, then going back and forth
right.
like that.
Because it's, as long as they would prohibit somebody, if, let's say that the road commissioner on that side of town comes and says, listen, I'd like to post H road. Because this only gives us the authority to post roads. It doesn't post all of the roads in town. It gives us the authority to post a road if it becomes apparent that it should be posted. So let's say that at some point, District 1 Road Commissioner decides, we're going to go ahead and town meeting approves it, and we're going to pave H Road. We're going to rebuild the whole thing. We're just going to go hog wild, okay? And afterwards, he says, to protect that investment, we're going to protect this road from through traffic exceeding 50,000 gross registered vehicle weight. So that would prohibit somebody from coming onto H Road at 109 and exiting H Road with the same load, still full, on Acton Ridge Road. It does not prohibit somebody from coming on at 109, going up to Mr. Pepin's pit, let's use as an example, turning around and coming back out 109.
But they couldn't go from 109 to down by Betty Mann's, for example.
Acton Ridge.
Yeah.
Right. They'd have to, if H Road were posted and they wanted to access Acton Ridge, they'd have to do it from a different side.
And I just think this is enforceable, that's all. You know, I don't see the, you know.
It's a step, I think, in a direction. Alfred has used it with some success to protect some of their smaller town roads that have been being beaten up. It's also, these smaller town roads were not designed for the level of truck traffic that we've been seeing in the last few years. So it's a way for the town to discourage the trucks from doing that. And I think we've already seen some of the, especially your very honest truck drivers who have seen the signs that are right up on Sam Page Road now, have come and said, whoa, I won't go on there. And we're seeing that. And just, you know, to toss out a call out, the Turk's Gravel Pit has been very cooperative with this. They've spoken to their drivers, and their drivers, without any real complaint, have rerouted themselves
Oh, I
to
understand
go
that.
through. I think it might not be,
There's also truck drivers that aren't, and they're still doing the same thing.
and at that
They
point,
get away with it for a while, but eventually they get caught. And
I mean, we've had a bridge that we've had posted in town now for quite a few years, and they still use it all the time, and there's nothing done about it or anything. You know,
until we have a police department, you're right, we cannot enforce it within the town.
I have one more question on this. For commercial or for businesses that are, like you said, now they're allowed to go empty to whatever the pit, whatever it is, and come back out either overweight, fully loaded, whatever the case may be. Are those businesses now paying any kind of more of a money? I mean, because a truck that's overweight, regardless of, I mean,
You can't be overweight. You can't be overweight. Over the weight on the limit is what we're talking about. You can't have an overweight truck, but the limit is 60,000 pounds.
okay, now,
So
a truck traversing 60,000 pounds, let's say you have, just, I mean, this is a business. You coming in with an empty truck, however many empty trucks, and you're bringing out X amount of empty trucks, you're still having the wear and tear on the road.
We have no way to account for that right now, and it's something that I think, you know, the road committee did a great job last year highlighting the damage that's happening to our roads and showing us where in town the most damage is taking place. It's a conversation that I think will start happening more and more frequently in the town of Acton. How are we going to provide for our roads? What are we going to do in the future to repair the roads that have been damaged and maintain them in an economical way? At the moment, we don't have a way to do that. We can't say to commercial properties, you now have to pay us more money because the road has been being beat up. There's nothing within the town of Acton that allows that to happen. They're assessed property tax just like any other property owner in town.
So, if a gentleman owns a gravel pit and he has a crusher set up in it, and these roads get posted, he cannot in the morning haul in a load of rocks to crush, load up with gravel, and leave.
He can come in with a load of rocks, crush the gravel, load it onto the truck, and go back out the way he came. Yes, he can. It says you cannot use it as a throughway. It specifically says that you may access a commercial site or residential site on the road.
Okay, we haven't had time to read this and digest it.
Well,
This is the
we're
first
not
time I
voting on
saw
it tonight. We're talking about it tonight, then we're going to post it, and then we're going to have another public hearing, so you'll have plenty of time to read it and digest it and come in and ask more questions. We're just introducing it tonight. We're not voting on anything tonight.
We're getting people's feedback this evening, and then we are looking to have a finished final document that we will be voting on either in December or early January.
Well, I think that I don't think you're giving a lot of consideration to someone who may have very well laid out $500,000 or more for a piece of property and another $1 million worth of equipment to operate this property.
We are. That's why we're bringing it up for discussion. We haven't made any decisions. We're bringing it up for everybody to talk about it tonight, and then we have to have another public hearing where we'll talk about it again before we vote on it. We're not ready to go any further than have this discussion. That's what this is about.
But I also, Mr. Hodgson, I think that we have been very aware of that, which is why the language says that you may access a site on a posted road. And I believe that we've spoken to most of the, well, at least many of the business owners in town that are affected by this. Not just the gravel pits, but businesses that accept orders throughout the year. And those orders might come in on trucks that are overweight. How does that get dealt with? Well, it gets dealt with because the ordinance doesn't prohibit a loaded truck driving to a site and dropping a load and then going out either entrance of the road. And it doesn't prohibit someone from coming on. Let's say that you had, and I don't know if this is possible, so forgive me if I'm incorrect, but if you had a truck of gravel that was over the 60,000 pounds, you wanted to come onto let's use Hopper. You wanted to come onto Hopper Road, drop part of the load at one place, turn around, go back out and drop it at someplace else, somewhere else in town, you can do that. You can enter in and leave by the same entrance you came on. You simply can't use it as a connector road.
So you can't use the Sam Page Road to enter the Hopper Road?
If you can, and that actually, this has come up, and we'll have to figure out how to adjust that, because if what we're saying is you can't use Sam Page as a throughway, what we really want to do is not allow Hopper to be used as the throughway. We'll have to figure out how to work that out. He's right about that. If we post Sam Page to cover that, then they can't make an access to Hopper. So we'll have to figure out, and MMA can help us work out that part. Do you have a suggestion, David?
Well, by posting it both ends of the Sam Page Road, because that was obviously one of the roads I wanted to post, you know, because of the new work that we just done. Obviously makes no access to the Hop Road. Of course, we also posted the Hop Road because of the bridge and all that. I guess when we started this process back last year and all that, you know, we had some concerns about the bridge and this and that, and because we didn't know we were doing the Sam Page, because when we did that, that was a big concern of mine. But this ordinance doesn't really affect anybody that has an operational pit, or, you know, anybody like a Chuck Heffron or anybody like that has an existing pit there. Anybody that's going to come in and say you want to log off a section of, say you're on the Hopper Road and you want to go log off Huzzy Hill, you know, you have to go get access. It's no different than the seasonal postings, okay? When I post the roads in the springtime for 26,000 pounds or whatever, if you live on that road or you need access to that road, you know, it's a little bit different circumstances, but if you live on that road, I can't stop you from going in with your truck if you're a trucker or whatever. You have to get access in and out. This ordinance, all this does is make it so that instead of using the Hopper Road as a shortcut, you know, 50 times a day, you're gonna have to use an alternate route. This is just trying to protect the investment of the town of Acton. And, you know, unless you're working on that road, you really don't need to be going across that. And especially if there's another access route. Now, I don't understand what your question was on the Sam Page Road.
If we post the Sam Page Road so that it can't be used as a throughway,
yeah,
and you have somebody who wants to access a site on Hopper from 109, they have to violate it.
Yeah, they're not using the throughway unless they drove around in circles.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So.
All right. You know what? Problem solved. Thank you, David. I also want to point out that in Section 5, it says permits, and it says the owner or operator of any vehicle not otherwise exempt as provided herein may apply in writing to the municipal officers for a permit to operate on a posted way or bridge, notwithstanding the restriction. So if there is a special one-time need that needs to happen, they can apply for a permit, and we've already done this, and it's worked out fine. They can apply for a permit from the municipal officers, and it lays out how that process works, so that if there's something that we haven't thought of and something comes up as an emergency, the ordinance provides for that. It provides for a way to accommodate a situation that we haven't had the chance to think of yet. Also, just so everyone understands, this does not apply to fuel vehicles in any way. It is illegal by Maine state statute to prohibit fuel vehicles from driving on a road because people need to have oil come to them. Okay, so this is not going to prohibit that. It also does not, I think, if I read it properly, state statute, you're not allowed to prohibit fresh produce trucks. So there are certain things that the state has stepped in and said, you can post your road because that's the right of the municipality, but in doing so, you don't have the authority to prohibit X, Y, and Z.
It's anything with fuel, like fuel oil, firewood, trash services, anything that's necessary to bring it home.
Okay.
Bob Anderson, what roads were you alluding to when you passed this ordinance?
If we haven't passed it yet,
no, but what
when we put up the road that has been brought up is Sam Page and Hopper.
The Sam Page Road is posted weight-wise.
It is at the moment. We understand that we have no way to enforce that right now, nor have we been trying to. When this has been passed as an ordinance At that point, the state police know that they can start enforcing that weight.
But if you have a posted road now, and it's legally posted, the state police can enforce that posted road weight-wise, too. So you're just adding another law on top of a posted road.
We don't have
now.
it legally posted at the moment.
I thought I
Because
saw one that said so
There's
many,
a sign,
so
but
many weight.
There's a sign, but until this ordinance goes into effect, that sign shouldn't have been put up.
This ordinance has nothing to do with the weight category on that road. That's a separate ordinance whatsoever. You're trying to get vehicles from coming straight through Acton. This is a different ordinance than just posting on.
No, this is a weight ordinance.
We can't post the road at all until we have this ordinance go through, except for during the
Winter months.
spring. We can temporarily post them, but we can't post them either for
You check with
weight.
MA just for
Yeah.
posting the roads weight-wise without
Yeah.
passing
Yeah.
this one?
Yeah.
I mean, what survey have you done, or what knowledge do you have that vehicles are coming straight through from New Hampshire to whatever, through Acton?
Well, I
I
think,
mean, most of the trucks I know are picking up loads here in Acton.
right.
They're not driving through.
We are finding that on Hopper Road, what was happening is that loads were being picked up on 109 of gravel.
Right.
And then to get back down south, they were using Sam Page and Hopper Road to connect to Spalding Turnpike quickly.
Right,
That's what we have evidence of.
right. But they're picking up a load from a business in Acton that you said they could do.
I said you can pick up a load on a posted road. They're not picking up on Hopper, they're picking up on 109. And what this will force them to do is to, once they've picked up on 109, to go on 109
Down to the Spalding.
to
instead of
Spalding
going
through
down
109,
Hopper.
not on Hopper.
So what about the sand pit on H Road?
The H Road is not being proposed to be posted at the moment.
But that's a town road that gets wear and tear too.
And that will be up to either the townspeople to come, if this gets passed, the townspeople to come to us and say, we'd like to see H Road be posted, or to have the road commissioner come to us and say, we'd like to have H Road be posted under this ordinance. This ordinance gives us the authority to post a road. It does not list roads that are being posted.
So somebody on H Road, that pit down there can have 10 or 20 trucks going up and down H Road with no problem whatsoever, but one truck going to Turk's Pit that goes down Sand Page is going to be prohibited from going.
Turk's Pit is not objecting to this ordinance at all. We have spoken to them clearly.
That's not the point. The fact is you're passing it on one road, but not the other town roads that are getting just as much wear and tear.
We have a road commissioner that has asked us to post Hopper Road. We are responding to that. Until somebody asks us to post H Road, we are not responding to that. And with this ordinance, there would be no crime in what Mr. Pepin's Pit is doing, because it is an empty truck coming to a point on the road, loading and leaving as an overweight truck.
So anything under 60,000 could go on Sand Page Road per se?
Yes.
No matter
Yes.
what the ordinance.
Yes.
But somebody coming from New Hampshire that wants to go up Sand Page to 109 to go to Sanford can't do that.
If they're
They're
over
going through.
60,000 pounds, no.
So, I mean, we can't enforce anything on Youngs Ridge Road, which has a posted bridge too.
The
And that was posted
enforcement
by us
part,
without this ordinance.
Well,
and that was not done properly. And this covers...
that right now, that bridge is not legally posted. I mean,
Yeah, it's posted on New Hampshire side and our side it's posted.
But it's not
weight-wise.
legally
our side
posted.
is not legally posted, so, you know, if someone ran that road and they knew that, they could go to court and say, hey, that was an illegally posted road and it should never been done.
I mean, this ordinance to me sounds like it's a separate one from posting a weight road. It's prevent people from just coming
No.
through Acton itself.
No, it's
The
for us
name
to
of this
post
ordinance-
either a weight limit or it not to be a throughway. It's for both.
Ordinance restricting vehicle weight
Right.
on posted ways. That's the name of the ordinance. And the language about not using it as a throughway is our language. We have added that in to alleviate the concerns of the business community or the people that live on these roads. Well, I can't get a load of gravel now if I need to do some landscaping. Or I was going to log that section of my property. I can't do that if this is posted year-round. There has to be some way for the commercial properties to be able to continue to make a living, and there needs to be some way for the residential properties on these roads to still be able to access services that they as a citizen have the right to access.
All right, so basically then you're preventing anybody from coming through Acton that has no business in Acton.
We're
But
not
then the guy
posting
from-
109. We can't.
No,
It's a
I
state
know
road.
that, but I'm saying for coming up Sand Page to go to Sanford, say.
If
you
they're
prevent them from
overweight,
coming through.
They
if
have to
they're
go
over
over
60,000
pounds.
but
Right.
over 60,000 pounds is very, very heavy, and if you're heading to Sanford, you'd take Milton Mills Road anyway.
Yeah, well, I've
That's a
seen just
state
as many
road.
trucks going up H Road that probably do just as much damage from that pit as Turk's Pit, you know?
And I don't think anyone's arguing that, but this is not going to deal with that right now. that might need to be dealt with in a different manner. David?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you had mentioned to another citizen here of Acton that this was not going to be going up in the town meeting. And yet, on the other hand, you said that if someone wanted a different road posted, as such as 8th Road was being discussed to be posted as a 60,000 pound weight limit, then they would have to bring it up to the town meeting.
Not town meeting, to us. They'd have to come to us and say, we think that this should be posted. And in my mind's eye, and we haven't had a chance to talk about this as a board, so this might be a good time to, what would that process look like? You know, so let's say that a citizen, not a road commissioner, comes forward and says, I'd like this road investigated as being a good chance of being posted. Is that an opportunity to go first to the road commissioner in that district and say, what are you seeing on that road? Is that a valid concern? And then that road commissioner, the road commissioner has a road committee that acts as an advisory committee to the road commissioners. So it wouldn't surprise me if somebody came forward and said, I'd really like to see H Road be posted. If the district, we'd send them to the District 1 road commissioner, I would assume. They'd have to be brought in as part of the conversation because they are the road commissioner. And then that road commissioner may well say, you know what, let's figure out what's happening on that road. Let's use the road committee to kind of come up with what's happening there and what we think could happen in the future. That's what I see as one option. I don't know, what are some of the other options for?
So then the road committees are back to meeting, because last I heard they were all suspended until further notice.
This is all just kind of...
They weren't suspended. The meetings have been suspended. They
Oh.
decided there's nothing for them to meet on right now, so they decided not to meet right now.
And I'm just throwing out a
And anytime
possibility
there
of
is
how
an
it
issue
could
for them to discuss, then the road commissioners can call them back into session at any time.
Okay.
Nobody's been suspended.
Under Section 5, under permits, I also see that you have on C, the applicant has tendered cash. Has there been a dollar amount that has been determined as far as getting a permit?
Nope. That can be something that we discuss to see what would they need to be bonded at if we wanted to give them a permit.
So we have verbiage yet that's still, I understand the purpose
Yeah,
of
this is
the
only
meeting.
the first step. Let's just talk about it, then we come back again, have another public hearing, talk about it some more.
But, I mean, is there something that you guys are throwing around as far as how much a permit would cost?
You know, I don't think we had talked about that yet, so that's part of the purpose of the public hearing, is to have new eyes, look at it, come up with questions that need to be answered. So I think the other question that you've brought up that our board will need to take some time during workshop hours and discuss is, what is the process for getting a road posted? How does that process happen?
Speaking of the workshops, are the workshops being recorded to be televised? Or?
No.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the floor? Does the board have anything they wish to add?
I make a motion, we adjourn from the public hearing and renew the selectmen's meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Excellent. This public hearing is closed. Next up on the agenda, we have Mr. Ken Paul is going to be presenting some information regarding proposed zoning ordinance changes.
On the agenda. This is just an update. Hold on. Is that fuzzy or clear?
It's pretty clear.
This is an update from the comprehensive plan. We've been working on the zoning. If you remember, about a year, 2 years ago, we started with the zoning map, which would have expanded the resource protection in a lot of the areas in the town. So what we were looking at was adding steep slopes greater than 20%, undeveloped, with 2 acres more contiguous property. This would turn it into resource protection within the shoreland zone, which is what all this yellow area is here. This is Raccoon Road up on Balch. So as Southern Maine Regional was identifying this as resource protection, we were discussing, in my opinion, it was developed land. They were considering it non-developed. And so what we did is, working through the comp plan, we used the maps online. Southern Maine Regional was using aerial photographs, and they weren't able to pick up some of the houses there. So we were able to just use the maps online, go in, find that the houses are there that they couldn't find on the maps online, on the aerial photographs, would just blow into them. The DEP determines developed is every 500 feet there's a house. These lots up on Raccoon was one of the last subdivisions around by the waterfront, so we were able to grab our scale tool and just start measuring in between to see what we had there for development, spacing between, and we're looking down here for the number there. There's only a couple of 100 feet between them. Back out a little bit. So we did continuous overlays of looking at every parcel that Southern Maine Regional was looking at. Again, all this yellow would turn the property into resource protection. Most of it we found was developed. So that's up on Balch. You go in by Hanson, Swain, there's nothing out there. Those are undeveloped parcels, so those would end up going into resource protection areas there. Come down around Great East, and if you could see the lot of yellow into that area there. Again, we went back to the maps online. We'll go back into the maps online, find that particular area, do a blow up of it. And my concern was, when they were moving towards the resource protection, is knowing that most of it was heavily developed area anyways. Occasionally we'd see an area that was not developed, such as this one here. We'd just identify that one there. With the street address there, I know there's a house there even though it's not mapped. And we can further go down and check on the assessing card, see a building value, $75,000, so there's some sort of a structure there. Back to the proposal that they were looking at. Most of this, all developed land, the backside of Great East, out on the Chipmunk. We found a small parcel here and there that was not developed. These areas out on West Shore that appeared with the aerial views to be undeveloped area. This is actually the boat launch area going into West Shore Drive. This area ends up still staying undeveloped. Originally, when the plan came out, all the yellow was going into resource protection. Small area on Horns. This area down here is not developed, but most of that is there. There's a small area on Great East by the boat ramp. That is undeveloped area there. We had a couple of parcels down here off of Hopper Road. Milton Mills on the back side of that area, or in between the two bridges. There's a few parcels there that are undeveloped. Again, steep slopes, greater than 20% in the shoreland zone. Other side here, you've got some on Mousom. This area we've determined as being all developed. Lower Mousom, there was an area undeveloped here. So our next step will be to update all the mappings, eliminate the stuff that the Comp Plan Committee has determined to be developed. The area in Hebo-Hibo is all undeveloped. This small area in DeGotting. Acton Swamps. Picking up that. And that is basically it. So most of the waterfront is all developed. There is a lot of steep slopes in that area, but most of it's all developed. So our next step would be to update the maps and get that set, and then actually take a look at all the text. Go through the ordinance that was proposed 2 years ago, I think, and start picking that through, and that was for this June, so, and go through that. So that is where we're at with that.
So this call gonna be ready for the town meeting in
June?
for a vote in June?
I would think so. We lost our contact at Southern Maine Regional. She's moved out of town, and out into Texas actually, so we're just doing it in-house now. We'll clean it up, get it ready. As we went through all the aerials, looked at the maps online, weeded it out as far as all of it's basically developed on the shoreline. I mean, all the houses are out there through. There was a large area out here on Eagle Road, and most of you can tell where the steep slopes are, but again, they're all developed, currently developed, so. Tom, did you have anything to add?
Well, I just wanted to thank Kenny and Linda for their a lot of tedium working through this, and we're past the point of splitting hairs on this map, I think, and we'll hope to move forward with Kenny's help on revising text as necessary, so that he's comfortable enforcing it and the committee is comfortable with the substance of it. Okay. Thank you.
Anything else, Ken?
No.
Great, thank you so much.
Any questions?
So
You
we'll
want to
look,
open for questions?
do you want to open it from the floor?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions.
Kenny, how much of what you've just showed us exceeds what the state actually requires the town to have in resource protection?
All of the yellow, all of this yellow area, if it was not developed, would need to be in resource protection
By state statute?
by state statute. There's a unwritten definition for developed. It's a determination from the DEP that every 500 feet there's a home, and it's not in their guidelines. It will be in their next edition, but that's what they've used. So using their unwritten definition, we've basically taken most of the shoreland that was proposed out, and it'll be the areas that are Hebo Road, Swain, Hanson Ponds, those areas there. And there are a few parcels. There's one on Balch. I think there was one on Great East area that are still a large parcel that's undeveloped with the steep slopes that'll probably stay in resource protection.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Paul?
Would the
Come on up here.
Would the census that were taken just recently been of any help to determine what was developed and not developed?
No.
It wouldn't have been?
No, we use the...
Even though that the census takers had to be within like 50 feet of your front door and hit the little button to show that there was a house there?
Yeah, I'm not current on what the censuses were doing. I know our assessing and some of the mapping that they're doing, they're going to go out and do some mapping and coordinate where that is to update these. At the same time as you're pulling any building permits, we're trying to clean these maps up as best as possible. But the easiest thing to use was the current data that we had right on the town website, the maps online.
So there's no way to tie the two in together to help you guys out?
With the census?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
We use this moment just for a moment to plug the maps online. If you are a realtor, if you are just an interested homeowner, you have access to the software that he's playing with, that Maps Online.
Utilizing.
I'm sorry?
Utilizing. We're not playing with.
Right, sorry. But, you know, it's something that we are trying to express to the real estate agents especially. You can access huge amounts of information about a piece of property from your comfort of whatever office, home, etc., using Maps Online. You can access it from the town's website. I believe you go in through assessing. Is that correct?
No, it's on our homepage.
No, right on the homepage.
Maps Online is right on the homepage now?
Yep.
Great.
Yep, right
So you
under
just
link.
click on Maps Online, it will open that up. It's a convenient tool. We encourage you to make use of it. So Ken, I think, has done a great job demonstrating how well
How
it works.
easy it is. It's very simple. I guess while we're talking at Maps Online, are you guys looking at cartographics or any other options for the Maps Online?
We are, you mean for GIS?
Yeah, well, for the Maps Online, updating the Maps Online, I've got a brochure that I think cartographics is about half price, and when you click on a parcel, you'll get a picture of the house and much more data and stuff. I've been lugging the brochure for a week or so, and I'll bring it up to you.
And it's from Cartographics?
I believe so,
Because
yeah.
we just received their renewal contract that we haven't had a chance to look at
Yep.
yet. So if you want to bring us up that information.
They'll come in and do the dog and pony show. We switched across the border with them,
Okay.
and it's half price,
I think
and it's
that-
twice as good.
I think what we're also looking at is that the revaluation of the town, they also offer a package with that revaluation that we have, that we've contracted for.
Yep.
That sort of, the pictures and so forth will also be available online. So
Yep.
we are trying to move further into the accessing photos and everything that's public information, being able to
Exactly.
access it online.
It eliminates the realtors from coming in with questions and answers, and people can go, and the first thing they do is check their own property whenever they're on this, and they can realize that that's not accurate, this isn't accurate, and come in and get the information up to date. Usually if you're overcharging, undercharging, they'll not.
Keep quiet about that. Are there any other questions for Mr. Paul? Okay, Ken, when shall we expect you back again to, keep people well informed about what's happening prior to June?
January, February,
Okay.
maybe we'll get an update on that.
Great. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right. All right, so we have a policy that we sign annually for emergency one-signer for payroll and benefits only. Town of Acton, Maine, policy on treasurer's disbursement warrants for wages and benefits only. Purpose: this policy allows that in the event there is only one selectman present and available to sign the payroll warrant, one selectman, acting on behalf of the board, may review, approve, and sign the municipal treasurer's disbursement warrants for wages and benefits only. This policy is additional to and not in lieu of majority power. Nothing in this policy is intended to replace the authority of the full Board of Selectmen acting by majority vote to act on any treasurer's warrant, including warrants for wages and benefits. Effective date: this policy becomes effective on the date indicated below. That would be today. Copies of this policy will be furnished to the municipal treasurer and municipal town clerk. The chairman of the selectmen will maintain the original on file.
I make a motion, we sign the policy for emergency one-signer for payroll and benefits only.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want to explain the next item?
Yeah. The next thing we're going to sign is an authorization for federal surplus property. Up in Augusta, there is both state surplus and federal surplus property that's available to all municipalities. And we are not a member of it. All we have to do is sign this application, and we can go up and buy. Like right now, they're loaded with computers that they've taken out of state offices or federal offices. There's a lot of equipment that comes from the Department of Defense, and it's available to towns. We send this up, and then this puts our name on the list, so if we look online at the web page and we see something we need for the town, like right now, if we needed desks, they've got desks and chairs for $5. So if we needed a new desk, we don't, but if we did, they have them there. And a lot of things go through there, so it gives us the opportunity to buy federal and state surplus at a really reduced price. So I make a motion, we sign the authorization for federal surplus property.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? So Lorraine, you said there's two places?
Yeah, there's one for the state, one for the federal.
You got two, tip up your next page.
I think just you have to sign.
Okay.
Then, when we get this list complete, what you're supposed to do is have everybody's signature. There'll be the road commissioner's signatures and yours and the fire
All three of
chief.
us?
If whoever you want to put on it is supposed to
Why don't
sign
we put all
that.
three, that way any
Yeah,
of us can go up there.
And also, I like Ted's suggestion of including the chair of the school board, so if the school needs materials, they can also get them.
Let me sign.
As I said, you don't all need to sign that unless you all want the right to go down there and shop.
I think it's a good idea, because if
Then
one
we-
of us is up in Augusta for a meeting and there's something that, if all the staplers go missing.
And we need some of those
Possible.
flutes and trumpets too.
You never can tell when you might need a trumpet. We could start our meetings with that. Please come to the podium.
Now, according to your comment, Ted, you said there were two of them, there was a state and a federal?
Right.
Supply, so we're only applying for a federal?
No, we're applying for both.
Oh, okay, so I'm just
It comes,
looking at the-
it's on state of Maine letterhead, but it also has a federal place on the paperwork. We had to sign on 2 different pages, so.
Okay, because I just see the federal one.
Yeah, that's just the way it was put in because the front of it said
Oh.
federal. But we actually will be eligible for both state and federal. And there's also heavy equipment a lot of times that comes out that it goes to municipalities before it goes out to bid to the public. So like plow trucks and excavators and all that kind of stuff goes up too. So, you know, that's available to municipalities also.
So would any of that type of equipment be posted, like, for you guys to have a list or whatever that comes up?
Usually that stuff.
Somewhere where average Joe citizen can look?
Well-
I need a tractor personally. And I
Yeah,
have to bid on
they open up, they put it out to the municipalities first, and then they have 2 auctions a year where everybody and anybody that wants to can go in and bid on it. So if the municipalities don't need it, then you can go bid. Like they put up the state police cars every year. They get new state police cars, they put every one of those up to auction.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Are you coming up to the podium, Mr. Rumo? Okay.
You want me to talk about this?
If you wish to.
Okay. On the 25th of this month, we have a 1.25 or 3, 1.4 right now.
Oh, 1.4.
Okay. We have a $1.4 million bond, which allows us to have $1.625 million in the bank and have FDIC in coverage, because every bank only gives you $250,000 worth of coverage. So when we collect our taxes, like this year, we had $3 million in the bank, but we only had $1.6 million worth of FDIC coverage. So the bank came to us and told us the bond was expiring on the 25th, and they gave us 2 options. We could go into a sweep account and put excess money, keeping regular money, keeping some of the taxes in our regular day-to-day account, and then putting the rest of the money into the sweep account that we could draw out 6 times a month. And they were offering us 1% interest, which is what the interest is right now. And we get 1% interest on our other account. The reason they wanted us to do this is because they pay for the bond, so it costs them money. And not as many banks are doing these bonds as before the crisis, so the expense has gone up. Plus, we want we want a bond of 3.25 plus the 250,000 FDIC, which gives us 3.5 million. So with a $7 million budget, it's very possible we could have 3.5 million in the bank at one time. And with all the bank failures and everything else, we want to make sure that we have FDIC coverage on the money that's in the bank. So they have agreed to go ahead and give us the bond, and so we will have that coverage when the other one expires. So when they did this in 2006, that was all that was available, was this bond, and that was all the bank was willing to give us. But of course in 2006 our budget was a lot less than it is now. So this will allow us to have whatever we have in the bank completely covered, and we don't have to worry about any loss. I have no concern at all that SIS is going under, but we still have to be protecting that kind of money. So we will be signing the bond. We're not sure yet whether it's signed by us or by the treasurer, because we decided not to go with the sweep account. It just added too much work, and there was no benefit to it. So we will be signing that bond as soon as it comes in.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the LexisNexis fee schedule, which I had in the stack, and it's not here now. Did it get tucked in?
It was in front of you when we sat down.
It was.
Yeah.
Right here.
Right. Thank you. All right. So LexisNexis is the company that we go through for our drug testing. They have a fee schedule, as should be expected, and we are signing to say that we accept the fees that they charge us. Just so people know, for a standard routine drug test of our CDL drivers, it is $39. So that is the fee that we are agreeing to pay for the random drug testing that currently we perform on CDL drivers that are in the employment of the town.
I make a motion we sign the LexisNexis fee schedule.
Any discussion? All in favor? Mr. Lopez has a comment. Would you like to come up?
Actually, I have a question.
Sure.
On this fee that you're paying the LexisNexis, and that fee that the town is paying for...
Mandatory drug testing, federally required.
Okay, and at this point in time, only your drivers are being tested, or is this...
Yeah.
Does this work into like a random type of situation? What is the... I know that they do by social or whatever, however they do it, it pops up. How often are employees of the town being tested for drugs?
Well, the problem is we had hoped we were going to start a policy where all town employees would be drug tested. And the department heads, fire department, transfer station, everything, all agreed to it. But municipal employees cannot be forced to undergo drug testing. State employees cannot be forced to undergo drug testing. The drivers for the road committee that have a CDL are required by federal law. So those are the only people that we will be testing, are the CDL drivers that drive the plow trucks and the heavy equipment in town. And that's the only people that we are allowed by law to test.
Is there something in the state, or which I would think would only be state, if someone has an accident, say a file drawer is left open, boom, they bang their leg, there's a cut or whatever, an accident within an office space or something, at that point does that person get drug tested?
No.
So there's no way to, this fee that we pay them to LexisNexis, is this something that's an automatic thing, or only when somebody goes to
Only when someone goes to be tested.
And
We
it's
are
only
part of a random, we're part of a consortium of towns and businesses, and we have all of our applicants tossed into the same pool, and they are randomly selected for testing.
And the only names we can give them are CDL drivers. We can't give them the names of any other employees, so no other employee will ever be tested. And that's state law. So we tried, because we had all the departments agree, and we tried to write a policy, but then we found out legally we cannot test anybody but CDL drivers.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Is there anything that would prohibit making drug testing criteria for employment, period?
No.
No, we can't do it.
Oh, no, I think we can, I think what he's asking is prior to hiring.
No, we can't do it. We can't drug test municipal employees.
Okay.
Well, as long as you did not discriminate and you required that of absolutely anyone that worked for this town, you're saying you can't do it.
No, you can't do it for state employees either.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's a state law. It's a state law, because we wanted to, and all the department heads agreed, and we had our policy committee actually started writing up a drug policy, and we set it up to MMA, and they said you cannot drug test municipal employees, and the only reason we can drug test the CDL drivers is because that's federal law. The Department of Transportation from the federal government requires all CDL licensed drivers to be drug tested randomly. So those are the only people we can test.
We could, I believe that there was language that if we had reasonable cause and we were to pass a policy for...
Well, we had to go through the Department of Labor.
Right.
Yeah. There is a way to do it. We would have to go through the Department of Labor. We would have to write up a policy and have the Department of Labor, the State of Maine Department of Labor approve it. But then at the same time, we also had to set up a complete counseling facility. We could not fire anybody for being found using drugs or alcohol on the job. We would have to make sure that they got treatment. So it would, and that cost, that burden of that cost, if the Department of Labor approved it, would all come on the town.
And we had to, we had to have a 6-month period that they wouldn't necessarily need to be working for us. And the same thing I think happens with the CDL drivers. We are still required, they have 6 months to be tested. I believe it's twice within that 6-month time period to come to test clean. We don't have to keep them in our employment during those 6 months, but at the end of the 6 months, if they have tested clean, we are required to hold their jobs for them. There are some what don't seem very sensible drug testing requirements. We also, volunteer fire departments and rescue, we have absolutely no authority to drug test, period, under any circumstances. So it is interesting. And Ted, like Ted said, all of the department heads were very cooperative. They all agreed if somebody can't pass a drug test, we don't want them working for us, but the state does not agree.
They said we can't do it.
Okay, so getting on what you can do as far as CDL drivers. Now, is this for all CDL drivers to be tested, or is it just...
We put all their names into a pool, and then the drug company pulls out their name, and they pull out 4 at a time. They send us the paperwork, and they've got 24 hours to get to the facility, which is down in Rochester, and have a drug test.
Okay, and if they don't comply within that 24 hours?
I'm sorry?
If they don't comply within that 24 hours?
Then they can lose their job.
Okay.
Because they are signing, they will actually sign a document saying that they will do it. And actually, they could lose their CDL license because this is a federal law.
And who do you say pulls the names of these personnel?
LexisNexis.
The drug company that we hired. The drug testing company.
Okay. And so you have a record of the amount of times that they have pulled names and...
It is not public information.
I understand that's not public information, but there is a record that's being kept, and I guess what I'm looking at is I'm just trying to make sure that not the same people are being drug tested all the time.
We have no way to control that. It's a random sampling. So statistically, is it likely? No. Is it possible? Absolutely.
But we only have how many drivers?
I think 9?
9. Yeah. We're only talking about 9 employees that are going to be tested. So.
All right. I believe that we had a motion, a second, and a vote. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Do other business in case.
All right, and there's only one signature needed?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any other business?
Okay, hold on.
Oh, we got to change the tape.
That's all right. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Ted, what did he say the bonds are going to be?
I think it's 3.25 million.
3.25 million?
Yeah.
Right, with 250,000 of FDIC insurance included for a total of 3.5.
So a total of 3.5 interest.
3.5
million.
Total covered funds.
FDIC and
Total
coverage.
coverage, 3.5 million.
Right.
All set?
All set?
Okay, Mr. Lopez, we're on.
Yeah, so another business. I had, I recall from the previous administration, which you were part of, Larissa, that there was talk about the phone tower, or the tower that they were going to be setting up for cellular services and stuff like that.
The one over here at the...
Yeah, is that it's already up?
Yeah, it's up.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the update. I haven't been around for a while.
You can see it right outside.
It's
You can see it right
only,
outside. It's right here in the apple orchard.
Oh, okay.
Chip, who's the carrier on that tower?
This one here is U.S. Cellular.
Okay.
There's a new one that was approved for, I believe it's Verizon, back the other side of Acton Airfield. But as far as I know, they haven't begun any construction yet.
Okay. And then I believe that when these cell towers are approved, they are encouraged to allow other carriers to tag onto them. Is that correct? So it's just a question of when the carrier wishes to tag onto the cell tower that's here. So U.S. Cellular, if you have U.S. Cellular, there is a new tower in Acton that is a carrier for that. I have Verizon, and I get service where we are, so I know that different people get different service in different parts of the town, but call your carrier and ask them to tag onto the tower that's here.
No. Now, I understand that there maybe, or there is an opening for a job as far as on the cable committee.
There isn't.
There is not?
Nope.
There is no vacancy at this point in time of an employee?
Nope, there is not.
Today is 11/17. 10, and that was from Ted. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other business?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, you said you were going to advertise for a director for the cable,
No, we didn't.
and that's what I thought I understood.
No,
and
we mentioned that we had a director that had resigned, but we never said anything about rehiring anybody. We appointed a cable committee instead.
So you have not hired a replacement for the prior director?
That's correct.
And are you going to hire a replacement for the director that left?
No, we're not. We appointed a cable committee instead. We've gone back to a cable committee.
So there's no paid position to anybody to run that?
I didn't say that. I said we were not hiring a new director. We hired a cable committee to replace the director.
Okay.
But Carol Long has resigned, and
She was the manager, not the director.
She was the manager, and I'd like to take this time to thank Carol for all the work she did do to get us to the point we're at. But we have hired somebody to replace Carol, so there is a manager. Well, actually, he's not going to be a manager. He's going to be a cable technician. There is not going to be any manager or director. The cable committee is now running the cable channel, and the employee is a town employee who works for the Board of Selectmen.
You have hired someone to replace Mr. Dunham?
No, we are not replacing Mr. Dunham with a paid employee. We have a cable committee instead. We don't feel we need a director.
Well, you just said somebody's getting paid.
Right, we hired somebody to replace Carol Long, who was the cable manager. There was two employees.
What paper was this job posted in?
Well, actually, we don't have to post the job in the paper, and I have it right here from MMA. If we choose not to, we don't have to, and we hired from within. We hired an actual employee of the town who's already an employee, and we chose as a select board not to pay for advertising and not to go out when we found that we had somebody that was very capable of doing it that already worked for the town, and we have every right to do that according to the law.
So the policies in town that are in place to advertise for paid positions doesn't mean anything?
There is no policy that says we have to do that.
Okay. That far from answers my question. However, we will go on to the next question.
Actually, let's back up a minute. What part of your question was not answered?
I'm very concerned about the way it happened.
The way what happened?
The way the position was filled.
Okay. What happened, I'll tell you, is the cable committee met, and I am the liaison, and while we were there, they had decided they would like to hire somebody. And I told them that I didn't think we could, that we would probably have to go out and advertise it. We came back, we wrote a letter to MMA, and MMA said, you do not have to advertise it unless you have a town policy that says you have to advertise it. We do not have such a policy, and there is no law. So because the cable committee agreed and the selectmen agreed that this person was the right candidate for the job, we were allowed to offer it to him. He took it, and we have hired him. And since we have hired him, he's only been here 3 days. He already has everything up to date for the last 2 months, and you will see new things on TV starting tomorrow with the September 28th selectmen's meeting, the pumpkin carving, the trunk or treat. The trunk or treat will be on. The Warren and Finance Committee meetings that have been taped will be on. So we are back up and running. We will be live by the first of the year. And we also found that we can tape directly onto the computer as it's being videotaped here right now, and that will save a lot of time. So we are up and running. MetroCast has come in and helped us out with this new gentleman. So we are ready to go, and you will see that everything will be online within the next week. So
the town doesn't have a personnel policy?
We don't have a policy that says we have to advertise a job outside. In any business, whether it be a town or a private business, if you have somebody in that business or in that town government that's already an employee, and they are qualified to do the job, you always try to hire within first, and that's what we did. We hired a town employee to take this job.
This is a school employee.
He's still a town employee. He's already got a benefits package and everything else, so we don't have to do any additional things there, and he is very qualified for the job. And it's only a temporary job until the end of the budget year, the fiscal year, which for the cable committee is February. So he is temporarily hired till February, and at that time, when they see what their budget is for next year, because with this economy, we don't know how many people have canceled their cable, so we don't know how much money we're going to get next year. But this is the person we've chosen to hire, and we've done it completely legally.
Okay. September 30th, the town, or around September 30th, the town received a warning from the Department of Environmental Protection pertaining to a subject that the road committee recommended be alleviated before that happened.
What are you talking about?
You guys ran on the premise that you wanted this town government to operate in an open manner so that everybody knew what was going on in town. And since the 30th of September, I have heard absolutely nothing about the letter of warning that the town received from the DEP.
Are you referring to the gravel pit behind the school?
I certainly am.
Okay, well, I think you haven't heard anything about it because it's a non-issue. We got the letter, we spoke to the road commissioners, we spoke to Ken Paul. Ken Paul told our board as a whole, when we went in to go speak to him, this happens every couple of years, no big deal. Send the road commissioners down, they'll clean up the site, you just need to pull a permit through DEP. I called Christina Stacy, she walked me through the DEP permit online, we're good to go. She said, no, there's no real problem. She said, we're not concerned about the site, we just need you to, do these couple of things and put in for the permit, and it's a one-time deal, and it's not a big deal. The town is not in danger of being fined, the town is not in danger of being punished in any way by DEP, and it's not an environmental danger that poses any threat to the community in any way.
The fuel or oils that were spilt at the site, the DEP was going to come down and check that and find out to what extent it had permeated the soil and how much remediation had to be done, and have they done that?
Yes, and she's not concerned. She feels that it can be dealt with very quickly and very easily. The road commissioners are together working on the project, getting the things that they asked for a berm to be put in place. They're working on building that berm. I just spoke to Christina Stacy again earlier this week. We are on target. She is not concerned, and she's thankful for the cooperation that she's received.
Well, I disagree with the fact that it's not a matter of concern, and I don't think that things like this should be dealt with behind closed doors.
It was not dealt with behind closed doors.
The letter was read in an open forum.
The letter was read during our workshop hours. It was discussed with Ken in the public during his hours. If we try to read every piece of mail that comes into this board during our board meetings, we will be here for far more hours than most people want to sit in these chairs.
This is kind of like the IRS letter you brought up a while back. It's something that we deal with within the office because it's not necessary to go out beyond the office. Remember the IRS letter that you brought up last month? It's the same idea as that IRS letter.
And we post our office hours. People are welcome to come and sit in our office and listen to us discuss these things. Any other business?
Yes, Scott Dunham. I actually have two questions. The first question, this position that you hired for the cable studio, was that offered to all town employees?
Nope.
Okay, so it wasn't advertised.
It was not advertised at all.
External or internal?
It was not advertised at all.
Okay. Second question, and I apologize if this has been covered before. I haven't been able to attend all the meetings or see them on cable. So, did we ever get a response from MMA concerning the legal status of Buzzell Road?
Yes, and I believe that Mr. Hodgson submitted a Freedom of Access Act request for all correspondence by email with MMA regarding Buzzell Road. That was furnished to him. It consisted of one email because MMA prefers to handle things by phone rather than email most of the time. MMA, I provided them with the stack of information that was provided to us, and they feel that it was being handled. I need to go back and read. It's been a couple of months. My remembrance is that yes, it needs to go to town meeting. It needs to be dealt with there. But I will be happy to go and revisit that, and we can revisit it again.
Okay, thank you.
Any other business?
I'm just going by what you are saying here, Ted.
Yeah.
You said that you decided to go within, as many companies do when they have a position that opens up.
Right.
But that is posted within the entire structure of that company. And yet, you said that that did not transpire.
Right. We didn't put any advertisements up.
Right, as far as to the public.
Or internally. But we did hire somebody that was already an employee is what I meant. I didn't mean that we were advertising it to everybody that works for the town. We found somebody within the town that was employed by the town that had the qualifications that were necessary in order to run that job. And to my knowledge, he's probably the only one that can do it.
Okay, and that's to your knowledge, but
right,
you don't know if there's anyone else within the town employment that actually has that knowledge.
Well, see, one of the reasons we chose him is because he's been in here all this week and did it without any idea that he was going to get the job or the possibility of getting the job, and he came in and straightened everything out and got everything onto tape and ready to go without doing it. We saw he could do the job, so that's why we hired him.
You don't actually know if there's anyone else in town that has that ability.
Well, we didn't feel it was necessary because it's a temporary job. We found somebody that could do it. We were behind schedule. Nothing's been put on for 4 to 5 weeks, so we wanted to get caught up.
Okay.
And he came in and did it volunteer. So between the...
But I thought you said he was paid.
He is now. He is now because we found out we were going to advertise it. He was going to continue to work. We were going to advertise it, but we found out we didn't have to advertise it, so we didn't.
Okay, I guess my next question would be in the fact of, I understand that you guys like using MMA, which from my understanding is more of an insurance type of situation than anything else.
They're lawyers that work for us for an annual... No, they're not for an insurance company.
It's a completely separate way.
Right.
We've had this conversation before.
Can you get from MMA, is there a legality or a legal issue to actually selectively picking someone out?
We did.
And giving it to that person? Can I see the results of that answer?
Sure.
Of that
Absolutely.
question? Can you read that out loud, please?
Sure. There is no general state or federal requirement that you must advertise before hiring a new employee. However, a town can impose such a requirement on itself by ordinance or personnel policy, which we don't have. Also, it is recommended practice in most situations in order to obtain the best pool of applicants and to ensure to some degree that the employment process is open and non-discriminatory. However, the hiring authority is free to make a determination that advertising is not necessary in a particular situation, such as where there is an obvious internal candidate or where time constraints may make the process not feasible.
I noticed there are a couple of words there as far as the pool.
As far as what?
Well, a pool of candidates.
Well,
but
it-
I- but I
let me
also
read it again.
understand-
Let me
No,
read it
no,
again.
Hold on a second, let me finish here. I'll see that it pointed out that if you have a person there, I'm just wondering as to the legality of that whole issue, and like...
I just read it to you. That's what their advice was to us.
I just wonder if, some other format, would I be able to get a copy of that?
Sure, you do, go in and fill out a Freedom of Information, and we'd be happy to give it to
Do you
you.
have a piece of paper for the Freedom of Information?
You have to go into the town clerk and fill it out, and then we get it, and we'll get you the paperwork.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I understand that legally you could do what you did,
Right.
and I'm not disagreeing with the fact that legally you could do what you did. But I question the fact that this person is a municipal employee. He's a school employee. He has never been under the direction of the municipal government. He's been under the direction of the school department. So he is really a school employee and not a municipal employee.
I said town employee, I didn't say municipal, and the school is part of the town, and his salary is being paid by town taxpayers.
Okay, and in the same token, all three of the selectmen have said many times, some more than others, that the school is a separate entity.
They are, they are as far as who manages the department,
Right.
they are. Right.
So what I'm saying is they
Yeah.
were never
I
employed
guess-
under the selectmen.
Yeah, I guess I don't see, I guess I must have misspoke when I said town employee or municipal employee, I'm sorry. What I meant was, he's already employed by the town, so he's already being paid, and any benefits that would be involved, or any kind of issue like that, as far as, I know there was no benefits involved with the cable committee, but we are in this one clause here,
An obvious?
yeah. Such as where there is an obvious internal candidate or where time constraints may make process not feasible. Now, we've been getting call after call about complaints about what's on the cable. It's the same thing over and over
I think
and
it's
over
more
again.
what's not on the cable.
What, huh?
I think it's more what's not on
No,
the cable.
it's the same, that the same thing is over and over again,
Right.
that they're upset with what's on the cable and when are we going to get it fixed. So when we were left with nobody in there, we started the cable committee. But the cable committee does not know how to download the video and then add it up to the TV channel. We found somebody that was capable of doing that. He was willing to do it as a volunteer, and the cable committee decided that yes, he can do it. He's going to train people, and so we offered him the job. The job was vacant, and it's only until February. It's a temporary job.
Well, there's a few things about that.
We would have been another month, 6 weeks with interviews and newspaper articles before we had anybody in, and nothing would have been on the TV for another month to 6 weeks.
Right. But the cable committee meeting last Friday,
Yeah.
when it got over, was under the understanding that the position would more than likely be advertised.
Yeah, if you remember, I'm the one that pointed it out. They said that they wanted that person, and I said we probably have to put it out. And then we came back, went to MMA, found out we didn't have to put it out. He was doing the work anyways. We needed to get it done. We needed to get the cable station back up and running, so that's what we chose to do.
I guess hopefully in February, there's two more things I'd like to say, and then I'll be quiet. When this is decided, if it is decided to hire somebody full-time, there are people in this community that live in this community that are capable
Absolutely.
to do that job, and they applied the last time we advertised for this position. And I would think under the circumstances of the economy being what it is, there are people out there that are looking for work that don't have work. I would think it'd be, in fairness to the taxpayers and the citizens, that everybody get equal shot at employment.
Okay.
I think that would be morally the right thing to do.
Sounds good to me.
The other thing is, the person that you did hire relayed today that this was a permanent job.
No, we told him, so,
No, this is what he told me, that's why
Okay.
But he's not here to answer to that.
Right.
So we're telling you what our understanding as a board is.
And I'm telling you what his understanding,
And
what he
that's
told me as an
fine, but-
employee.
And
He's
you
not
were
here
at,
to
the- you were at
discuss
the, you were at the cable committee meeting,
Yeah.
and I was the one that made that suggestion that it only go till the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
Because you gotta realize, until we find out what the money's gonna be, because like I said, with the economy, I know if I was hurting, one of the first things that would go would be the cable, you know?
Not
so-
me, because I love to know what's going on in town.
So there may be, you know, well, we got 38,000 this year, we may only get 20,000, 15,000, we don't know. So, plus, it's a brand-new board, a brand-new committee, they've got to get together, they've got to learn what's going on, and then they've got to figure out how they want to spend the money next year. The only thing that the selectmen have involvement in this is any employee has to come under us, because the cable committee cannot be an employer. And, you know, and then, of course, the money comes through us, but the cable committee will be the ones that are determining how to spend it, because it's not tax dollars.
Well, I understand where
Yeah,
it comes from.
but I want to make sure everybody else is clear that we're not spending tax dollars here. This is cable money that comes only from subscribers paying an additional fee. This has nothing to do with money that's voted in at town meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, the people on the cable committee don't treat the new employees the way they treated some of the old employees.
Thank you.
What is the cost of this new employee?
The same as the cost of the employee that quit, $230 a week, which comes out to $12,000 a year.
$230 post-tax, it's $12,000 even a year.
Yeah. But it's not town money, it's cable money.
I understand that.
Okay.
The second question is, you just said that this job went until February.
Right.
And then 5 minutes later, you said that this job went until the end of the
Fiscal year for the
Fiscal year.
cable. The cable company's fiscal year is February to February, because that's when MetroCast gives us the money.
Okay.
Yeah, not the town fiscal year. Yeah, thank you for correcting me.
Any other business? Okay, we have some announcements. Selectmen's next meeting will be December 9th. We also are changing our workshop hours on the first Tuesday of the month. Instead of meeting from 2 till 4, we will be meeting from 2 until 6. So the first Tuesdays of the month, our workshop hours will be from 2 to 6. During the month of December, we will be closed as a town hall on December 24th and Friday, December 24th, and Saturday, December 25th. We will also be closing at noontime on Friday, December 31st, and we are closed for January 1, which is a Saturday. Our meeting schedule for the month of December, because yet again we have a holiday on the 4th week, we will be meeting at the second Thursday, December 9th. If it turns that we need to meet again, we will do so the following week, but we do not expect to need to do so. Also, all department heads' payroll is due on Monday because of Thanksgiving holiday. Payday for town employees will be on Wednesday of next week. Also heard back from the Town Report Printing Company this week. Town reports should be to us very soon. We have a draft coming in tomorrow morning. Be able to approve that, and then they will begin printing those town reports. Did they give you an indication, Lorraine? No? About how long it will take from the time we approve the draft?
It's usually only a week or so, once we approve the draft and send it back to them.
So we are in hopes by the end of this month that we will have town reports available for fiscal year 09-10 available here at the town hall. Any other announcements?
Yeah, I just have one. We've got a broken railing out front, and the railing is aluminum, and we've tried to find somebody that has a TIG welder. If anybody knows anybody in town or any business that does TIG welding that can weld aluminum, we'd like to get that railing fixed out front. I've tried everybody I know, and then we've tried a lot of people we know in town that we thought might have one, but I guess it's there are a lot of them out there. So if anybody could help us out with getting that railing fixed, it's on the wheelchair ramp coming up to the front door. It's just one weld that needs to be done, so we'd appreciate any help on that.
And we have a human that's willing to do the welding. My husband welds aluminum for a living, but his TIG welder is not portable. So even if you don't weld yourself, but you happen to have a TIG welder that is portable kicking around, it would make our lives easier. If we can't find somebody in the next week or so, we will expand our search for businesses that are willing to come and take care of that. But
Does Donna's husband do that? Donna, does her
Okay,
husband do that? You know, Donna at school. He's a welder.
he's a welder. He might be, so Donna at the school's husband, Mr. Michaud?
Oh.
Oh, no, what's her last name? Not Michaud. What is Donna's last name?
Donna in the office?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's Misha.
Michaud, okay.
he's a welder.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay,
call him
I'll
too.
ask her.
Any other announcements?
Nope.
Oh, I've got a couple. Saturday, December 4th is a busy day here in the town. Not only do you have your Lions Club breakfast, because it's the first Saturday of the month, from 8 to 10, but the library is having their annual Christmas tea that day. I think it's at 12. I will check and confirm that. And then that evening at 6 p.m., we will have the annual Christmas tree lighting that is brought to you by 4-H here at the Town Hall. Mrs. Claus is joining Santa Claus this year here as well, so we will have a very festive time indeed. I encourage people to come with children or without children. There will be crafts, caroling. The school band and the school chorus will be part of the festivities that evening, so it should be quite the event. Please do come join us here at the Town Hall to welcome in the holiday season. Anything else, guys?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.